A damning independent report documenting a series of issues at Wrexham Tennis Centre has been released, with Wrexham's MP asking why serious child protection issues that were raised in 2012 and 2014 were not followed through by the LTA, Wrexham Tennis Centre or Tennis Wales. The Lawn Tennis Association (LTA) published the report produced by a wide-ranging independent review commissioned into events at Wrexham Tennis Centre following the conviction and subsequent imprisonment of their former head coach, Daniel Sanders, in July 2017. The 178-page report concludes that Wrexham Tennis Centre (WTC) failed properly to address a number of historic complaints and allegations made about the behavior of coaches at the centre, including the former head coach. The report has been written after an investigation by a team of lawyers that was led by QC Christopher Quinlan, and notes, "We cannot now say whether the subsequent serious sexual assaults carried out by Daniel Sanders in 2016 and 2017 would have been prevented by more detailed and thorough investigations in 2012, 2013 and/or 2014. Our firm conclusion is that there was sufficient evidence available before 2016 to merit stronger action being taken against Daniel Sanders. Once more, we cannot say that action would have removed Daniel Sanders from the sport before he offended. More recent issues about a convicted child sex offender being prevented from using facilities at the centre as late as last year are also referenced, and described as another example of limited understanding and ability to assess and manage risk. A Wrexham Tennis Centre internal investigation carried out in 2012 was found to be insufficient, and serious concerns raised by parents and coaches were not adequately addressed at the time or subsequently. Tennis Wales and the LTA are both found to have failed properly to recognise the safeguarding concerns that should have been evident at the time and have acted inadequately by failing to initiate proper proceedings against the head coach prior to his arrest in 2017. The report itself makes grim reading, with first-hand details included after 138 people were contacted to contribute, and 77 giving interviews or statements. The report looks at complaints and inaction in 2012, and then separate sections looks at events after that point, right through to 2017. The report does note, Daniel Sanders did not contribute to the review. Some of what we record in this report is what people allege against him. We do not know what Daniel Sanders says about such allegations. Save where the contrary is indicated, such alleged behavior has not been admitted by, nor proved against, him. We have made no factual determination as to the truth of such allegations. In 2012, WTC received complaints initially from two former coaches, one alleging Daniel Sanders sought and was sent explicit photographs from a teenage female player who was aged 17 years when she joined WTC. Sanders developed an inappropriate sexual relationship with that player, bullied another coach, and delivered at least one racial slur a day. The other alleged Sanders regularly used inappropriate foul language, was often sexually explicit with coaches and players, and described a coaches' meeting at which Sanders showed pornographic images. It was also alleged Sanders asked for sexual favors in return for stringing a racket for a female player. The 2012 investigation is dismantled, with interviews in pubs and supermarket cafes referred to, and an impression incidents were passed of as being part of lad culture, banter or lookism at the tennis centre. One account notes, he remembered an occasion when Daniel Sanders filmed a young female player. He was pointing the video camera up and down her lower body, which at the time he felt wasn't right, but it could be easily explained from a coaching perspective in terms of recording the player's leg and hip movements. He mentioned it to a director and a sports psychologist, whom he named. Both said they were quite aware. Nothing was done. The independent report speaks of the 2012 complaints and inaction. We cannot recreate the picture in 2012. We cannot now find where the truth lies. We cannot discern what was, would or might have been revealed had we conducted this exercise in 2012. It is also right to note that many of those spoken to in 2012 said in terms that they did not have SGCP, safeguarding and child protection, concerns. However, what is clear to us is that the investigation in 2012 revealed conduct and behavior which gave rise to SGCP issues or concerns. Our review has confirmed that, and in places added to that picture, that appears not to have been appreciated at the time and in consequence not addressed properly in the WTC report. Further separate and discrete disclosures, or detailed, which independent report states, reveal a further failure to act appropriately on disclosures about Daniel Sanders. One of which is from a father of a player then at WTC who recalled reporting the behavior of Sanders. He said that at that meeting he raised his serious concerns about Sanders' behavior and that he described him as showing many of the characteristics of a sexual predator. He heard from another about a 15-16-year-old female player emerging from DS's locked office. We have seen notes of that meeting. This was well before Sanders was convicted of sexual crime. During that meeting, in 2012, she disclosed 2 matters of a sexual nature against Sanders. When FP2 was aged about 18 or 19, she can't remember, it was 4 or 5 years ago, she was coaching at WTC when she received texts from DS in which he asked her to take pictures of herself and send them to him. He asked for pictures of her breasts. She did not report it to anyone and did not respond to the requests. Older incidents are also documented. In November 2008, FP2 attended a conference in a British city. Sanders was also present. Late in the evening she received a text from Sanders asking her to go to his hotel room. When she arrived, he was wearing just a t-shirt and boxer shorts. He was aroused. He touched her chest and tried to kiss her, at which point she said no and left. On the following day and subsequently DS acted as if nothing had happened, save for one oblique reference to it. She was very upset by it. Actions by another coach aside from Sanders are also referenced. The said parents also complained about another coach, whom they named. They said that on a trip without parents, he made young female players walk back unaccompanied to their hotel as a punishment. When investigators spoke to that coach, he agreed that he had made them walk back to the hotel. He did it because they were misbehaving and being disrespectful. He said the walk was in daylight, it was a straight road and he risk assessed it. On the latter, the independent report notes, we are not in a position to assess the right and wrongs of it. To do so would require an assessment of evidence and making factual conclusions as to what happened and in what circumstances. However, it occurred against the background of complaints about bullying. To address it by way of an informal discussion, is illustrative of a poor cultural approach to safeguarding at WTC. The independent report concludes, WTC failed to address serious issues raised during its 2012 investigation and thereafter. The 2012 WTC report and the analysis thereof were seriously defective, adding, the WTC board failed to take sufficient action in respect of the findings in the 2012 WTC report and the other available information. Moving forward, the report contains an anonymous letter to WTC in May 2013 that cited abuse. WTC's response to the letter is described as insufficient. An email to the LTA describing 2 parents saying, feel a responsibility to speak out as they maintain the coaching culture at Wrexham was still not appropriate for young players as of December 2013. A letter to the LTA in 2014 sets out the concerns of a parent, that wrapped up by saying, I feel Wrexham is a bomb waiting to go off if coaches are allowed to get away with the issues that I had mentioned. The independent report states the LTA's response to the letter was deficient. The report moves to cover a period from 2015 to 2017, noting in June 2017 at Mould Crown Court Sanders pleaded guilty to 8 sexual offences committed against a young tennis player whom he coached at WTC. In July 2017 he was sentenced to a total of 6 years imprisonment and other ancillary orders were made. An issue in 2015 which is described as being dealt with in a worryingly similar manner is also documented, involving RPM Fitness Suite which is not owned by WTC but has space there. The independent report documents as follows: it seems that in or about June 2015 it came to the attention of the WTC manager, who did not contribute to the review, that the suite was being used by a male who was convicted of a sexual offense in September 2010 involving a 14-year-old boy. A review investigator spoke to D1 about this matter. He was the WTC welfare officer at the relevant time. He recalled being told about it. He met the co-owner of the suite. According to D1, they agreed that the man would 1. Not use the changing rooms, and 2. His personal training sessions would not take place between 16.00 and 19.00, when the junior squads met at WTC. D1 told us that the male complied with those stipulations. No complaint was ever made about the male's conduct at the suite, or at all. The report goes on, he provided the fitness sessions for the man in question. When a tennis coach told him about the man's criminal past, he disclosed it to an owner of the suite. They discussed it with the WTC manager, who said he would refer it to D1. He recalled they took the decision to ensure the male was always under his supervision while at the suite. 2 WTC tennis coaches recalled the matter. They had some recollection that the male used Facebook to contact a young male player who used WTC. The player confirmed to us that he received a few messages from that man. We have been told that in August 2018, and in light of information said to have come to light during this review, the LTA ensured that the man was stopped from accessing WTC and the suite.